Welcome to Eau Claire is Here, your place to find out a little bit more about the people, places, and happenings going on in the best little city in Wisconsin. Eau Claire is Here is brought to you by Ned Donnellan, Donnellan Real Estate. And now your hosts, Jane Seymour Kunick, Scott Kunick, and Jerry Annis.
Hello and welcome to another podcast of Eau Claire is Here, and you should be too. I'm Jane Seymour Kunick.
I'm Jerry.
Jerry.
I'm Jerry Annis,
Yes.
co-host, co-partner of the podcast.
And we're standing here in front of the building that made us.
Well, the building that used to be here.
The building that used to be here.
Yeah, so we're in front of St. Patrick's, lifelong members, talk about lifelong relationships. That's where we started the church band as well. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I'm not even sure what this is going to be, but
I think it's going to be a parking lot for Mayo.
For the hospital?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're sitting here, just so many memories, right? Right over there where that big rock is, that's where the spaghetti dinners used to be. This green pipe behind us, that's where I would have detention during CCD. And I think by that branch down there, that's where Jane and I probably said 10,000 Hail Marys for penance.
Yes.
Except
lots of penance.
You were a pretty good child.
I was a pretty good child. You still had to remember standing in line for our confession, and we'd all be asking each other in line, what are you going to say? What are you going to say?
Yeah.
And then you just copy somebody's sins. I talked back to my mom and dad.
Wait a minute.
I guess I did that too.
Is that a sin, to copy sin?
That's a sin on top of a sin. Yes.
Oh my gosh. I know when I went in there, it seemed like I was in there longer than everybody else.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Oh, well.
Bigger list.
Yeah.
Bigger list.
Anyway, cool memories, more progress. Well, and then beyond that, as everybody knows, Jane and I are realtors, and market's got kind of, well, it's crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah, you and I have had a couple interesting transactions. Mm-hmm. Listings are few and far between. It's tough to be a buyer, to be competitive, but didn't you have a house that was unique in a way?
I did. When people make the comment, everything's selling. Well, sure enough, I got a listing with a tree that had fallen through the house, and it's sold in a day. With the tree coming right out of the living room.
Yeah.
Sold in a day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, everybody talks about this market and that it must be great for us realtors. We're working real hard because even though houses are selling fast, we might be showing a buyer, 15 houses and they're writing on 5 and not getting any of it. So it's crazy out there, and I kind of want to tell people just hang in there, that the market will change maybe in a little bit, but
you do a nice job with that anyway. For me and you, probably the toughest call we have to make is to call that buyer and say, hey, guess what? We wrote a great offer, but unfortunately we didn't get it. Right. Keep your chin up.
Somebody gave their first child away with the offer.
Yeah. Or, but you are so good with that. You just usually say, you know what, wasn't meant to be. Something better is probably coming down the road. And more often than not, that typically happens.
It does. It's just taking buyers a little longer to get there, and sellers are reaping the benefits of that. As long as you don't have to be a seller and then a buyer.
Yeah.
Because the shoe will definitely be on the other foot. Yeah.
So anyway, we've got a fantastic podcast on Clearwater Clues Hunt. So kind of a cool scavenger hunt. And
yeah.
Scott did a great podcast, and I think it's just something neat for the city.
Yeah, they did it last year. They called it a COVID scavenger hunt last year, but they took COVID out of it and renamed it Clearwater Clues Hunt.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad, because it sounds like it's going to be an annual thing. And the little bit that I saw, they have a great website. They have a nice Facebook page. Scott did a nice interview. But in the month of May, they're going to do 2 routes a week. Mm-hmm. So there's 8 routes to go through and miscellaneous clues. And I think for me, the takeaway, just seeing all that is, number one, it's free.
Right.
You know, you can register, but it doesn't cost you anything, and there's prizes.
Yeah, and they want you to register especially if you want to win a prize.
Yeah, and I think they're doing prizes for each tour, so 8 prizes, and then I believe there's a grand prize for a medallion that's hidden. So clues, and it just fits right in with our podcast about Eau Claire is here and you should be too. All those clues are on routes around town showcasing properties and history, and I thought that was kind of cool too.
Right,
so.
And living down by Phoenix Park, I know there's a lot of people in the city who like to walk around it. So this is just a fun way to take your walk to a higher level.
Yeah.
Learning something and playing something.
Yeah. Well, and getting outside and doing something with the kids, and that I guess is the name change because they want to do it every year. Scavenger hunts are tricky. You know, I did one, I think I was telling you about, I did a scavenger hunt for my kids on one Christmas, and it was so hard to be creative and think of some neat places. I knew I could get them to different places, but trying to come up with these clues and being creative. So I really admire those guys and what they're doing, because that's a lot of thought and a lot of process. It doesn't cost anything, but I think they said if they want to make a donation, donations will be accepted to a homeless organization, which is going to help out people in the Eau Claire area as well. But yeah, just that scavenger hunt that I did, you know, we sent them all over town. Hard making those clues, but we also told my kids that we've paid people to mess with you. So we instilled some paranoia, which will not be on Clearwater Clues Hunt, but it was funny. One of the clues brought them up to Carson Park where the Blue Ox was, and then a car drove by real slow. They're like, hey, what? Are they messing with us? And, you know, and one of them ended up at the joint, and it was funny because I was outside watching, and they were looking, and halfway through it, half the patrons in the bar were helping people look for stuff.
Fun.
So that is cool. But
yeah, and I think they have fun making it. I know everybody will enjoy doing it, but I think these 3 guys are good friends, and I think they enjoy setting it all up.
Yeah. Well, and they do a great job, and then a testament to that, I guess, is the number of people that are participating too. So anyway, Scott's got a nice interview coming up with the folks from Clearwater Clues Hunt. I hope you guys enjoy.
I'm really happy to have on my friends again. We had them last year when we did the COVID Clues Marathon Hunt. This year, it is the Clearwater Clues Hunt, and their second annual tradition here of getting some great walking history paths. You guys are going to describe it much better than I am, but I know it was a great hit last year, and I'm so glad to have you back. Thanks, guys.
It's great to be here again, Scott. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for having us again.
So, you know, why don't you tell, for those who didn't pay attention or participate last year, just, Andy, tell us how this kind of got going. And, well, first, let me introduce these guys. These all are educators in the area, and it's a great fit for them. One, talking about history and educating not only students this time, but the community. So with that, Andy, tell us how this came to be.
Well, last year in mid-March, the schools that we work at got shut down for the quarantine due to COVID-19. And the 3 of us would text a lot and just kind of decided we were tired of being stuck in our houses and wanted to get some fresh air. So Aaron suggested we go on a daily walk to get some fresh air, to get some steps in. And then we noticed a virtual walk run event on Facebook called March Sadness, because the March Madness didn't happen. And so you had to walk or run 64 miles in a given set of weeks. We decided to donate to that cause and walk the 64 miles. And we chose different paths around town. And as we did that, we discovered there was a ton of really neat, like local statues, local artwork, local history with a lot of the Landmark Commission historical signs. And I think we were out walking one day and one of us just said, you know, we could do this for the city of Eau Claire or the Eau Claire area. It'd be fun to create something where they learned the history, and we supported some local businesses and charities. So we put together an idea and started putting together some routes, asked a couple of people if they'd come on board and support us and visit Eau Claire. ended up jumping on board along with WEAU, Volume 1, JAMP, Charter Bank, and some local chiropractors in Larson and Paulsrud Chiropractic. And we had the EC COVID Clues Marathon. And Visit Eau Claire really liked it and thought the event went well last year and wanted us to keep it going throughout the summer. And then this year, we decided to change the name to the Clearwater Clues Hunt, Clearwater after Eau Claire, and kind of take COVID out of the name. And here we are again for round 2.
It was a great experience last year. I'm glad you're doing it again. I heard it was so popular, actually, that Visit Eau Claire wanted you to do it throughout the summer, because with not as many events going on, it was a great opportunity. And just they asked you more than once to see if, and I know even I remember finishing last year's episode, I wanted it to keep going too. You want to touch on that, Jed?
Well, yeah, basically, we kind of got the idea in late March, early April, and, it was ready to go by May. And so we were kind of under the gun last year to get the routes we had. We had 8 routes. But it was a lot of work, especially as I kind of mentioned to you off camera before. That was sort of a working prototype, right? And it was a lot of work to kind of plan it and do it and get everything organized as the event is going on. So, when Visit Eau Claire wanted us to keep it going, we just kind of ran into a time crunch. We had to figure out, more routes and where to go. So we thought, let's just keep this a 1-month thing, 2 routes per week for 4 weeks. And then we have something to come back to now here again this year. So we're going to kind of stick with that format simply because, we don't want to burn all our routes out in just 1 year. And it does take some planning. Last year after the medallion hunt and marathon ended, we already started planning for this year's courses. And that was huge. This year we have pretty much all of our routes done and planned out, going into this year. And so a lot of the legwork was already done for us, and it was just sort of finalizing things, double checking some things. And so again, that's kind of, I think, what we're planning is to do 8 courses again this year for 4 weeks, 2 per week. And then that way we can again develop more courses for next year and kind of keep this becoming an annual event as opposed to sort of doing them all in just one shot and running out of ideas.
It's kind of nice. So the point is to have 2 courses in one week, so that then people can get out, maybe make it a new healthy habit of getting out more than just, once a week. It's kind of, maybe, is that part of the reason that you decided to go with 2 a week versus just 1 a week, Aaron?
Yeah, that's exactly it. And actually, Jed, you're giving us a little too much credit. When we started this thing, we were still route testing like the next week's routes at a time. We were really, it was amazing how we pulled it off. And I'm sure it looked a lot more seamless on our participants' end than it really did. But we were really frantically putting and changing things, especially with road construction. So these things have been deliberately tested and planned and walked many times. And really the idea of giving you 2 routes a week is really just that variety. They might be in completely different locations. You may even walk a route that, if you did this last year, grazes around an area that you did before, but we don't want to give really too much away. We're giving you areas that are new, some that you may, again, are familiar with, and some that you never have expected before. We really, again, as we build this year after year, are trying more to keep it interesting and show you many more things to learn about the greater Eau Claire area.
Yeah, and to kind of piggyback off of what Aaron said there, you may walk by something we did last year, but Eau Claire's got so much history and so much interesting things that none of the questions or trivia or anything is the same. Everything is going to be new as far as selfies go, as far as fun facts along the way. As I'd mentioned, the trivia questions and historical facts are all going to be brand new. So even though you may go down a similar block, it's still going to be new, fresh things for the participants to experience and learn along the way.
Okay, well, so tell us, what's the distances that you were trying to shoot for? Is there a long one this time? Andy, can you tell us more about the course?
Yeah, that's a good opportunity to kind of segue into what's new this year. What we did with all the courses is we gave them a rating. We kind of got the idea, Jed came up with one time of rating them like a ski hill would have with the different things. So some courses are a green circle, which means they're probably less hilly, a little bit more of a flat course and smaller in mileage. A majority of our courses are what we labeled a blue square, which means they're probably somewhere around, 2.5 to 3 miles, maybe a little up terrain or that. And then there's a couple that are red diamonds, which means they're a little bit longer courses. They might involve some up and down terrain, might challenge you a little bit exercise wise. And so each week when you get your clue sheets, you'll know this is a little bit easier route. This is a little bit harder route. This is kind of in the middle. So that's something that's new this year. And then also on the clue sheets, we're also hiding a weekly hidden object, kind of like a weekly medallion. And we're calling it the weekly hidden object to not confuse with the medallion hunt. In the trivia questions, there will be clues to a location on one of the two routes where there will be a hidden object. And if you find the hidden object, you win actually an $80 prize pack of local business gift card. So each week there'll be $80 of local businesses up for grabs if you find that hidden object. And then we don't want to give too much away about the location of these courses, because hidden somewhere around the Eau Claire area near one of our 8 courses, on or near one of our 8 courses, will be this year's grand prize medallion. And that is worth $300 in local gift cards. And you can see that on our Facebook page and webpage, kind of what those prizes are. But this will be hidden shortly, and there'll be a clue released every Thursday and Sunday. And we'll release up to 8 clues until the medallion is found. So that's something kind of a separate from walking the routes and doing the trivia and selfies and stuff. But there is a weekly hidden object and an overall grand prize medallion worth lots of great local gift cards and prizes.
Real fun. That's even more than I think you had one medallion last year, right? Total. Now each week there's going to be one. So that's really fun. And obviously there's a lot of that gets some interest from everybody, but especially the kids, gives them something fun, really get them out there. Speaking of that, I think it sounds like there's some other, not to confuse this hunt with, there is a Chippewa Valley treasure hunt. This is separate than that. And apparently that gentleman, what was his name?
Atreyu?
He puts one out like every 2 months. And so, but that is not this. So if you're getting confused, but it sounds like there's been some other people that, like this so much that came up with their own and kind of piggybacked. But I like to give these guys credit for really getting this going in this area, because I don't know that there was anything like this before that they started. So pretty cool. So same sponsors as last year, Aaron?
Yeah, and this is a great transition to tell you really about how just a small component of the registration, that we don't require any registration fee at all for any of our participants. We are graciously supported by fantastic sponsors here in the Eau Claire area, all of them returning that Andy had mentioned earlier. We really can't do it without them. And those partners have been invaluable for getting these gift cards, for supporting. We tallied it up. We have 60 businesses that in some way will be supporting via either the support they've brought us or via the gift cards. But one of the things that we do kindly ask that people at least consider is a charitable donation. Now, last year, we were in a lot of pilot testing, and we had picked some local causes that were very supportive of the area. This year, just for our own simplicity, we've gone to a single supporting charity, and it's a new one. They're called the Hub Homeless Services, and they're actually located just off of Highway 00 in Chippewa Falls. They're a brand new permanent transitional housing for homeless in Eau Claire. Unfortunately, one of the beauties of a major city like Eau Claire is that you tend to have a lot of homeless people that need the services that only an Eau Claire can provide. And we're very well aware of all the generous support that a lot of faith organizations and private individuals have supported with years. And the Hub is just another one of these tools that can help those individuals. And this new permanent location that they have will provide several mini homes in a central location. Individuals get to work with a case manager that can help them transition out of homelessness. And just as they're starting to get their firm footing here in the area as a new charity, we thought it was a very appropriate nod to say that we hear you, we love what you're doing, and we hope that we and the greater community can learn about you and in the end support you. So that is at thehubec.org. We're going to have it linked all over our registration page too. But again, in lieu of charging you a registration fee for the chance to win some pretty amazing prizes, we just ask that you consider that chance to be a little bit charitable and help out the homeless in the area.
What a great thing that you're doing there. Basically, doing this as a fun little hobby, that you're not being compensated at all by this, but you're giving back to the community. And then on top of that, to people in need. And so thank you guys for doing that. It is so awesome and very commendable. And hopefully people, even more so will, jump on that bandwagon and we'll see how much we can raise. And so I know that we'll keep promoting it on our sources the way we can as well. Jed, you're the history teacher. Is there some highlights of history that you enjoyed about some of these routes, or did you have a favorite, spot? I know last year one of the favorites was the High Bridge. That's just a great spot in town. There's many great spots in Eau Claire, but go ahead.
Yeah, so my favorite spot this year is actually, and I don't know if a lot of people know this, but Old Abe the War Eagle from the Civil War was from here in Eau Claire. The 8th Wisconsin took off to go fight down the Mississippi River, and they needed a mascot, and Old Abe the War Eagle was that mascot for the 8th Wisconsin Regiment. And the steamboat dock where Old Abe actually departed from, and the 8th Wisconsin Company loaded up onto the steamboat and headed down the Chippewa River, is on one of the courses this year. And it's a new area with the development of downtown and the Pablo Center. They've done a great job of creating nice wide paths for both walking, biking, and recreation right along the riverside. And this path was in the works last year, and it was finished up towards the end of last summer, and is now open for use this year. And that path will take you right by the dock, or where the dock was, in 1860, that the 8th Wisconsin departed to go and fight the Civil War with Old Abe the War Eagle on it. And there's a great plaque there that tells you about that and the history. And so me being a history teacher, that's kind of my favorite spot. And it's a good view of the river. It's kind of secluded, and you wouldn't maybe know about it if you didn't walk the course or walk that path and see it. So that's probably my overall favorite. But there are also some other fantastic houses and things we go by. Eau Claire back in the 1880s was a lumber capital of this region. And some of these lumber barons and captains of industry had just fantastic houses. And you see them now, and they're just beautiful and full of grandeur. And you can only imagine what they would have been like, 130 years ago. The lumber barons themselves would have been living in it. And Aaron and I, and Andy and I have said many times walking these courses, man, if we could just get a time machine and teleport back to 1885 and just see what this would have looked like with carriages going up and down and seeing these houses in their prime and in their heyday, and just, it must have been amazing. And so there are several of those old houses of the former, prominent people here in Eau Claire that we walk by and that you'll read about on the course. And so me being a history guy, again, those would be some of my other favorite highlights is learning about who lived in these houses and what did they do for a job and how did they impact. I mean, they really did develop Eau Claire early on to make it the city that we all know and love and call home here today.
That it is fascinating thinking about that as well with that those boats, like the picture is just so cool that they actually did that, and how neat. And sometimes thinking, I wonder if that would ever be brought back as a tourist attraction or something that that would be pretty cool.
When you have to give credit, you got to give credit to a lot of the owners in the area who really have kept those homes in such fantastic condition. Yes, some homes have not stood the test of time, but some of the more spectacular ones that we've featured on the routes, what the owners have done to maintain their historical charm is just outstanding.
Well, the nice thing about that is, that I know that if they want to get registered with the historical foundation, then there is requirements to keep it up to that. So it's awesome that they would, one, take the initiative to want to do that, two, and then like you said, I mean, because it is work and effort, but we all get to appreciate it. Andy, your favorite spots or things you wanted to touch on about some of the courses this year?
I was trying to think as Jed was talking, and there's, just a lot of the lumber history and the old Abe history. I attended what brought me to Eau Claire was UW Eau Claire to attend the university here and sing in some of the choirs at the university. And there's a part of a route this year where I learned a bunch of UW Eau Claire history that I never knew before. And I went to school here 20 some years ago. So there's some neat history right on campus that our participants will learn this year of the university that is a big part of the success of this city and of this town.
Aaron, did you have a significant spot?
Yeah, just without giving too much away, I love that we were able to take some routes away from the center of the city. We really kept a lot of last year, I think, pretty confined to a pretty good central area, which was fantastic. We're going to make you walk around a few other different places this year, and you'll hopefully get to be excited about just some of what happened in Eau Claire after Old Abe was no longer, and what happened as Eau Claire really began to grow after the lumber era.
It's just a neat thing that you guys have done here. Is there anything else that you want to add before we go here?
Well, you had mentioned sort of graded the courses this year with the green circle, blue square, and red diamond. And, I think it's important to note that we did that because of feedback we got from families. Last year, some families didn't maybe know what they were getting into, so they'd go with little kids and find out it's like a 3-mile hike, 4-mile hike, and there's a lot of hills, and it was challenging. What we're hoping for this year is that, maybe families with smaller children do the green square, and maybe they're teamed up with some other adults, and they can hammer out the more challenging courses, or maybe they leave the kids at home or bring bikes, or it just gives them a variety of options to kind of know what they're getting into ahead of time. That, okay, this is maybe a great course for the kids to go on. This one might be a little harder. So if they're younger, maybe we want to pull them in, a bike carrier or something like that instead. So, we want to make sure that we're keeping this family oriented and family inclusive, and that it's really an event for all ages, whether you have, teenage kids or whether you have, children that are still in strollers. Last year I walked all of our courses with my daughter in our stroller. So it can all certainly be done for children of all ages. And that's where we're really gearing it towards is to families and anyone really. But we wanted to make sure that we were a little bit more receptive to some of the feedback families gave us after last year, and kind of make sure that we help them prepare a little bit more this year as we go forward.
Definitely helpful and valuable with the little ones. Andy?
I'll just add too that if you are a team that has a little bit of the competitive blood flowing through you, one thing that we added kind of at the last minute last year was called First to 26, because each of our clue sheets has 6 trivia, 6 selfies, and then the Charter Bank bonus buck, giving a total of 13 things for them to find along the way. So times 2 is 26. So the first group to turn in 26 answers each week, correct answers, will get a prize pack worth $60. So we have for the first to 26 correct prize package each week. And I know there was a lot of teams that maybe didn't have little kids, that were maybe some groups of friends, older friends one group last year even noted that they got up at 5 a.m., printed off the sheets, and were out on the courses by 5:15 because they wanted to be the first to 26 that week. So if you got a competitive spirit in you and you want something that is what gets you going, then we've got that for you too.
So fun. That's great. I'm so glad that you mentioned that. There was one other thing you wanted to add, Andy.
Yeah, I just want to add that, we release 2 routes every Thursday. You have until the next Wednesday at midnight to get your answers in for the 2 things if you want to be eligible for the things. There's the first to 26 correct that would win a prize pack, the people that find the hidden object that week. But then also, if you turn in your trivia answers, selfie pictures, and the Charter Bank bonus buck, if you have 20 or more correct, your team's name will go into a drawing for every week. We have 10 $30 gift cards, all to local businesses. And we will have a drawing every Thursday morning to determine those winners and then make a plan to get those people those gift cards. So please make sure you take those 7 days and you walk the 2 routes, get your trivia answers, selfies, the Charter Bank bonus buck, get them turned in to our email, which is clearwaterclueshunt@gmail.com. And then we will check the answers and put your name in the drawing for awesome local prizes.
And you said those paths are up for the duration of this. If you miss one that week, you can still do that a different week if you want to. But for the prizes, obviously that's within that time frame. And you want to reemphasize, wasn't there one, a bigger grand prize with that medallion? What was that amount for again?
The grand prize is for 5 local businesses totaling $300 in local gift cards. So if you find the medallion and contact us and we confirm that it's the medallion, you'll win a $300 local business prize package.
All right. Better get out there, get after it. Aaron, any other final thoughts?
Absolutely. So whether you're hearing this podcast at the beginning of the challenge, or maybe you caught it and, oh my goodness, it's the 4th week, don't worry about it. You're still welcome to come and join along. Don't forget, though, we would love you to pre-register. It helps just with our own tracking to know who all is participating in this and gives us the information we know on who we need to send these fabulous prizes to. Our website is clearwaterclues.org. Again, clearwaterclues.org. And if you also register early, you actually will get emailed a custom email from us that will tell you a little bit about what happened the last week, and we'll send you right away the routes you need for the week coming ahead. You don't even have to dig around on the website. That's another big plus for getting registered early. And I guess finally, when you live in a town that has over 100 miles in paths and hundreds of years of history, it's only sensical that we learn about how we've connected ourselves to the present, to the past. And there's nothing better really than getting outside of this time of year when the spring gets better. But it's time to get out and get active. And we're offering you the chance to stay safe while getting out there and getting exercise and really learning about this fantastic area that we call home.
Wonderful. Yeah, with that, be respectful, obviously, of the other people that are out there, whether keeping your distance, but also just being mindful of the other people if they're participating, trying to get the medallion. Obviously, you're all just having some fun out there. So if you have other questions or comments, go right to their website there that Aaron just mentioned. And we really appreciate having you guys on. Look forward to the next one. And what a fun way for you guys to spend time together, get some exercise yourself, learn more, and then share it with the rest of us. I look forward to getting out there myself and maybe finding that medallion. So
good luck.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. It was fun. Look forward to seeing you soon. Not on Zoom.
Yeah, thanks for having us again, Scott.
Thanks, Scott.
Thanks, Scott.
So that was a good interview, live from inside everybody's living room on Zoom. But yeah, it was great to hear Andy, Aaron, and Jed kind of share their experience, and they're just so fun about it. They're really enjoying it, so that's awesome.
Yeah, they did a great job, and I hope we have people that take advantage of that, because it's really interesting, and it's a way to get out and get some steps, get a walk in, and have some fun at the same time.
Yeah. So go online and sign up and register and hit the trails.
Well, we appreciate you all for joining us. We'd like to give a shout out to Ned Donnellan. Thank you again for sponsoring Eau Claire is Here, and you should be too. Until next time, hope you guys have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.
Peace out.
Thank you for listening to Eau Claire is Here. The best way to support this podcast is by subscribing, giving a 5-star rating, and writing a review. Find out more at eauclairishere.com or find us on Facebook. Eau Claire is Here is brought to you by Ned Donlin, Donlin Real Estate.